We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. Today is Friday, and you know what that means. It's Ask the Experts. That's right. It's Relationship Q&A. And it is always an honor and a privilege to have with us the illustrious, the marvelous Lakeisha Hines. Good morning, Lakeisha. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm ready to dig in deep to these questions and unpack some things for the people. So listen, what we're going to do is, whether you're single, dating, in a committed courtship, engaged, or married, whatever your relational status is, this is the place for you this morning. It is not about what we want to talk about. It's what you want to talk about. So jump in, get your questions in so that we can unpack them in a comprehensive way. Early. Like, why wait till 2 minutes before we're done? Early. All right, guys, we're excited for you this morning because we're going to give you some amazing things. But listen, really quick announcement, September the 9th through 11th. You know, when you think about September 11th, you typically think about the trauma that we as Americans face, because that's when we were attacked and the towers came down. And no matter where you were around the world, whether you were in New York at the time or in Idaho, doesn't matter. We all somehow were affected. But what we want to do is rewrite the memory of what September 11th is all about. And particularly for you women, we want to rewrite what it means. We want to give it a new meaning. And so that's why we're encouraging to do the Unearthed Retreat, because we want you to have a positive spin on that date. We want it to be a transformational time. And Lakeisha, I know that you are one of the main speakers that are going to be featured at that retreat. I'm excited for them because I know who you are. See, seeing you on a screen, on a show for 30 minutes a day is nothing in comparison to seeing you live when they get the heart and soul and mind and spirit of Lakeisha Hines. And so, are you excited about it, Lakeisha?
I am beyond excited. I cannot wait. Listen, me and God have such a powerful message for these ladies. I can't wait for them to partake. It's going to be awesome.
You are going to meet God at this retreat, God and Lakeisha. So listen, check out this quick promo and we'll be back to dive into your questions. That's right. That's the Unearthed Retreat. Listen, all you need to do is go to the website. September the 11th through the 9th through the 11th is $997. That includes your lodging. That includes the meals, the wonderful workshops, the experiential learning, all the things that they're going to do over that 3-day process. It is something that you do not want to miss. I would move heaven and earth to do what was possible to be there on that week and be there, or as they used to say, be square.
One of the ladies said, if I gotta walk there, I'm going to get there. She is like adamant, I'm coming. Nothing is going to stop her from getting there.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Lakeisha, let's jump into some questions. I have a question for you that came not today, but we're going to get started with this. What do you do when one spouse is more head oriented and the other is more heart oriented, meaning one feels that the other is just too emotional. Like, man, you wear your emotions on your sleeves. But the other one feels like, man, you have no heart. You're like an android. You're like a robot. Is there anybody in there? Like, where is your heart? And so one is head type, one is heart type, but they're in a relationship. How do they make it work?
Yeah. So for me, everything is about understanding, right? The Bible says, and all that getting, get understanding. And it's really about knowledge, right? So it's funny. Whoever sent this question in, they must have like literally read my memoir from my
Mm,
marriage, because I remember there would be times where I'd be checking Willie's pulse, like, bruh, are you breathing? Are you alive? Because he just felt like so robotic in a lot of ways. And for me, same thing. He felt like I was too emotional. So what we had to do was identify one another's strengths. There's a reason why you heart type are with a head type. You can't be so emotional that everything is about feelings and everything is offense and everything is hurtful, and it can't always be that way. But then you also can't constantly live in your head where you aren't able to experience emotions. So I think it's really about finding that balance and identifying one another's strengths, because again, you have a head type and you have a heart type for a reason. Head type, you're probably too rigid. Heart type, I'm sorry, you're a little too
mhm,
soft. So you
mhm,
need to toughen up a little bit. And so when you guys are getting into conflicts, really, a lot of times what it is, when the heart person is going in with feelings, the head person is shut down. Like they
mm,
immediately put defenses up because it's not computing. They're not processing your feelings. So what you have to do then is get to the facts, get to the details. What is the root of the issue? And you got to go in and be clear, concise, and direct with whatever it is that you're dealing with, almost like bullet points, so that they're able to see exactly where it is that you're coming from. And then that heart type, again, we need you to express, I'm sorry, head type, we need you to express how you're feeling, because it's not a situation where they don't have emotions. They're just expressed differently. So understanding how they feel and why they feel the way that they feel and what that looks, feels, and sounds like is going to be critical to their success. Just understanding where the other person is coming from and
mm.
how they express themselves, I think will be very helpful.
That's an excellent comprehensive answer. And hopefully that helped not just the person who asked it, but many of you who are kind of going through the same thing. Thank you for that. We're going to go to another question. And I'm going to start with you, Lakeisha, because you're on a roll and then I'll pick up. It says regarding forgiveness. Now, yesterday, the last couple of days, we've been talking about forgiveness, Lakeisha. And
Hmm.
we were talking about the reasons why people forgive. And what I said was, forgiveness, it someone saying I'm sorry is not a requirement for someone who's willing to forgive their spouse. Obviously, it's ideal. You want an apology, you want a sincere, contrite apology from a spouse. But there have been many people who have not received that yet they offered forgiveness to their spouse. So here's the question regarding forgiveness: I believe I'll never get a real apology or changed behavior. You say it's not needed, but I want it. What are some words or techniques that will help me forgive and move on, knowing that I will probably never get it? Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that? And then I'm going to come back and share mine.
Yeah. So, legendary lady, first and foremost, you are a regular. So, thank you for your faithfulness. I want to say that I think the root of this issue really is fear. And I think the fear is that the behavior won't change. And then you're saying that you want the apology, you also want change behavior. I get that and I understand that, but forgiveness is a choice. And so, one of the things that I'm asking you to choose is what's most important to you right now in this moment. Is it most important that you get an apology, or is it most important that you see a change in behavior? And I want you to prioritize that, because that's where you should be focusing your energy. But in terms of what you can control, forgiveness is a choice. And regardless of if you get an apology, regardless of if there's changed behavior, If you're saying that I'm going to forgive, then that's what you have to do, independent of your spouse's behavior, because the forgiveness isn't for them anyway. And I know you've heard this multiple times, but it's truth. It's not about that other person. It's about you releasing, letting go of that weight that you're carrying, which is unforgiveness. And the reason why you don't have peace and the reason why you're not settled in your spirit is because you continue to hold on to the unforgiveness that you know ultimately you are required to give. And it's not about what you want to do, it's about what you're required to do if you yourself want to continue to receive forgiveness.
Thank you for that. So if I'm hearing you correctly, forgiveness does something to the person who forgives, right? So
Absolutely.
all of the bent up negative feelings, the frustration, you're forgiving the person. In other words, you're releasing all of the toxicity out of you. Okay. I think if we're making forgiveness something other than what it was designed to be, we're going to miss it, because what I'm hearing you say is, you said, okay, and you deserve an apology. Let's just start there. You
Yes.
deserve an apology. All right.
Yes.
Now, what you said was a real apology. So my question then becomes, what do you mean by that? Because we've done shows where we've talked about the anatomy of an apology and what that looks like. And oftentimes we speak different languages, right? So for instance, I did something to hurt you and harm you, and I come back and I say I apologize in the way that I say I'm sorry, but you don't receive it. You don't believe it's sincere. You don't believe it's genuine. And so now your interpretation of what I'm saying and doing, for you, it's not genuine. It's not sincere. It's not real. So I would want to unpack, number one, what are we defining as a real apology? Number one. Number two, I agree that if you apologize, in essence, there should be a change behavior that follows. And so your concern is not only did you not apologize, but you also didn't change your behavior. But let me give you this to think about. You can forgive your spouse for what he or she he has done, but make a decision that the relational dynamic of your marriage is going to shift. Because until you begin to do the right thing, like if you're going to continue to do the wrong thing, if you're not going to continue, if you're not going to engage in proper behavior, whatever you two deem that to be, then that shifts how you do your relationship, how you do it. Does that make sense? Now we can go into more detail. Like for instance, let's just say I'm in a relationship with somebody and someone's unfaithful and they continue to be unfaithful and they're not trying to change their behavior. So there's no change behavior. Well, okay, now you're continuing to violate the relationship. I need to forgive you so that I can heal and become my best self. But we're going to change how we do relationships because you're still violating this partnership and you're exposing me to things that I don't want to be susceptible to, right? So we've got to change how we do things. So this is why I say we really need to understand what forgiveness is in a comprehensive way and know how to move and navigate through the relationship while we're going through what we're going through. Because then I think we're setting ourselves up for success instead of failure. Because what happens is, we stay hurt in our feelings and our emotions, and then we lash out based upon the pain that has been projected on us by our spouse's bad behavior. And then it becomes a tit for tat, and then it becomes distant. And then we're just in a horrible place. And now we're in crisis. There's a way to navigate through that. And so this is why, for instance, if you go on our website, right, and you look at our services, we have something called the Solo Spouse Intensive. Because what if you want change and transformation in your relationship and you don't have a willing participant, your partner's not on board? Well, there's things that you can do in the meantime that helps you become better and has an impact and influence on your spouse's behavior. But there's a pathway to that. And so I would encourage you, for a deeper dive of what we're talking about, please reach out to us, because we don't want you stuck in this place where you're settling for a marriage where somebody is not genuine in their apology, doesn't want to change. There's things that you can do to motivate change in your partner. You just got to know what it is. So
But
hopefully,
Sonny,
yes.
I wanna add on to that too. And this is why you are who you are, because you really just broke down the fact that there are three different layers to this. It's about the apology, it's about the change of behavior, but it's also about forgiveness. And those are three totally separate
Yes.
processes that you have to go through. And so I get why this is confusing and probably overwhelming and stressful for you, legendary lady, because there are three completely different components. And so if you understand the languages of apology, which I'm sure that's what you were thinking about in the back of your head when you first started talking, Hassani, if you understand the languages of apology, you're right. You guys probably do speak different languages. And so breaking down what that apology needs to encompass, I think is going to be very, very powerful for you too. Because I didn't catch it, but Hassani did, because he's Hassani, that he has apologized. He has apologized. When you say a real apology, that means that he has, but you don't feel as if it was genuine and authentic. So, what components does it need to have in order for you to receive it? Or is it about the fact that you haven't seen a change of behavior? So, he said, I'm sorry. And it was genuine and authentic, but you haven't seen the change in behavior. So now you're questioning whether or not it was a genuine and authentic apology. But those can't be the reasons why you forgive or don't forgive. If the apology is genuine or if the behavior changes, that is completely independent of your forgiveness.
And also, let me say, coupled with what you're saying, Lakeisha, because you're right. When we talk about change behavior, well, let's just say, going back to the cheating analogy, I'm no longer cheating on you.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are other behaviors
Yep.
that are still the same. Like, for instance, let's just say I still don't communicate. I still
Mm-hmm.
shut down. I still happen to be secretive in terms of what I do. I'm not doing anything. So when we're saying change behavior, you have to understand I'm forgiving you for the offense, but you need to continue to work on all these other things. And I think what happens
Yeah.
is we're expecting some metamorphosis to happen
Yes.
with an apology, and now people show up as a different person when they've been this way for quite some time. So
Right.
certain changes can be instant and other changes happen over a period of time, and there's got to be grace that we extend to the person for them to be on their path of self transformation, to become different, to release those other behaviors that they're holding on to. Here's another question. I think we're on a roll when it comes to forgiveness. My spouse is changing her behavior pattern, but I fear to forgive her because I'm worried that she will fall back into her old ways. How can I get past the fear of this, Lakeisha?
So, fear in and of itself is debilitating because fear prevents you from moving forward. Fear prevents you from thinking positive thoughts. Fear keeps you stuck. And so, releasing that fear is what's most important. I mean, you took a leap of faith when you said, I do. You didn't know what was going to happen when you guys said, I do. I mean, you know what the person told you and you know what was in your heart at the time, but did you actually know what that marriage was going to look like post nuptials? We had an idea, we had a dream, we had a vision, but factually we didn't know. So we had to take a leap of faith. And so for me, it's the same thing with this. I understand that you've been hurt, and I understand that there's fear that they will repeat the same behavior, and they'll cheat again or whatever. But if you continue to focus on that, I believe we can manifest things. And I believe that you can create that
Mm,
in your life.
mm,
And it may not even be a sexual affair, but it could be an emotional one where they're disconnected from you and not even necessarily with another person, that they just are putting other things before you. That in and of itself is a betrayal. They can literally turn away from you and put their focus and energy into a sport or hanging out with friends or whatever. And it's not even anything that is sexual or, like I said, an emotional affair, but there's a disconnect because you're so focused on the fear of them repeating that same behavior that you're not enjoying the moment. And you're also not doing the work that's necessary to be able to heal. So you got to take your focus off the
mhm.
fear and shift it to faith.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well said, well said. Fear either drives you to do something hastily that you really shouldn't be doing, or it stifles you from doing what you should be doing. And so the issue really isn't whether she will cheat. The issue, as you're unpacking, is your fear about her cheating. So her role is operating in integrity, right?
Yep.
And showing herself to be held accountable to a standard that you both agree to. But your responsibility is to deal with the internal feeling and thoughts that cause you to drift into a negative space. Because when you are a fearful person, you operate in a level of insecurity. right? There's a level of paranoia. You may become a helicopter spouse, smothering and always, and that type of, and to your point, your fears, sometimes even Job in the Bible, my greatest fear has come upon me. And so we are magnets, and we draw situations and circumstances back into our life based upon internally what we're thinking and feeling. So if I'm operating in fear, I'm going to draw other experiences that reinforce the fear that I have. So rather than trying to get past the fear, you have to face the fear. One of the things we talk about oftentimes is writing down all of the things that you are fearful of. Like write down every negative thought that you have about yourself, every negative thought you have about your spouse, every negative thought that you have about your marriage, every fear. Write them down to get them out of you, to begin to look at them and to process them. Then we take you through a very specific technique of rewriting the script, because whatever fearful thought you have, you're repeating it in your mind again and again and again, like a loop. And it becomes more cemented in your subconscious mind, and you believe the feeling rather than paying attention to the facts. The fact is she's not cheating, but because you fear that she is, you will create something in your mind that may not be consistent with the reality. So it's a lot of internal work that you have to do, and we would love to be a part of that process. Please reach out to us. Here's another question. I'm sorry. You want to say something?
Can we even go as far as to say that this can influence your triggers as well, by you being fearful and you focusing on what it is that you feel as if might happen, that can actually cause your triggers to intensify and increase? I literally just took a client through that exercise, Asani, but very specifically had them to write down all of the negative thoughts, all of the false beliefs. He's going to cheat again. Okay. So then we counter that thought with, what can I do to ensure that I'm continuing to pour into my relationship, to ensure that we're nurturing and cultivating that, so that we don't create a space or a void for them to even think about stepping out there again. I'm shifting my focus and my thinking. And as you said, not stewing and marinating on that negative thought, but then focusing on, one, what I can control, but then also my positive thought is my husband loves me and he cares about me and he would never cheat again.
You hit it spot on. Yes, your own fears can trigger your triggers. That's why we talk about the importance of untriggering your spouse. There's a specific process for that. Untriggering your environment, there's a specific process for that. And untriggering yourself,
right?
And there's a specific process for that. And unless you know the methodology and the techniques to do it, you will continue to operate in a level of fear, doubt, insecurity, trepidation, and it will cause your life to be just toxic. Let's go to the next one. Felice says, hi, Couples Academy family. It's been a tough month. So he's been out of the house going on a month after caught having contact with the affair partner again. I guess he now wants to come home and states that he will guarantee no further contact. What is the first thing I should do if I agree to this? In my humble opinion, now this may sound self-interested, but listen, I'm going to tell you, like, the prerequisite to come back up in here is a commitment that we're going to counseling. Because if you don't, all you're doing is signing up for more of the same. I can make a decision today. I promise I'll never contact them again. Well, what makes that true? Do I have a changed mind? Do I have a changed heart? Am I a changed person? Well, if I'm the same person I was a month ago when I was caught connecting with the affair partner, and today I make a decision and I'm not going to do it, but there's no evidence of a change or transformation within me, guess what? Eventually, I'm going to do what I've always done because I'm the same person that I've always been. So if you want to continue to experience the same thing, continue to do the same thing. If you want to do something different, then before you come up in here, we are agreeing that we are getting marriage counseling to walk us through a process to create something new. If you don't do it, you're potentially signing up for the same. Lakeisha?
Yeah, and we need a system of accountability. And that's not something that you're going to get independently. I just, I don't even want to put anything negative in your mind right now, but my mind always shifts to the why. Why now? Why do you want to come back now? And I'm always questioning, like, well, what happened, that led you to this place, which is exactly what Hassani is saying. How did you come to this decision that you want to be back home? But yes, sis, you have got to put some serious boundaries in place, and you're going to need to have that system of accountability. And you guys are definitely going to have to walk through, how is this time going to be different from any other time? And so
Excellent.
reach out. Let us help you.
Please. Denise says something very powerful. Thank you, Denise. She says forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. They are not mutually exclusive. And that is a fact. That is a fact. Those are two different things. You can forgive someone and not reconcile. Within the confines of your marriage, you should want reconciliation. But the path, so forgiveness is a part of reconciliation, but the way in which you reconcile, it's completely different. So it's a focus on both these two things, right? And so if we're talking outside of the context of marriage, or if we're talking about someone who you've made a decision, you know what? You continue to engage in bad behavior. It's toxic for us as a couple. I'm ready to depart because you won't change. I forgive you, but we can't reconcile. Two different things. And so in some situations, that's a decision that you should seek wise counsel to help you make, because not everyone is going to make it, because some people refuse to change, period, point blank.
Yes.
So thank you for that, Denise. All right, here's another one. This is a deep one. This is deep. This is real. This is real, folks. My spouse gives me 5% of her. Majority of her time, love, and interest goes to her career, kids, family, and etc. And I get the remaining 5%. Tired and bedtime percentage. Okay. How long do I stay?
I'm stuck on a tired and bedtime percentage.
I guess that's the only part that he gets. She's tired.
Oh,
in the
that's
bed.
the 5%.
That's the 5%. I'm assuming.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
this is why I need you, Hassani. Okay. So how long do I stay? So listen, we can't give you a time frame. Give it 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. We can't give you that. But what we can say is you definitely have got to have a conversation with your spouse and let them know that the 5% is insufficient, and specifically what it is that you are needing, wanting, desiring from your spouse. That has to be detailed and outlined. One of the reasons why we end up with a lot of couples here at Couples Academy is for situations just like this, where the spouse is feeling neglected. There's been a void, and then they go somewhere to have that void fill somewhere else. So hopefully you have not done that. And I'm urging you not to do that. Definitely, I feel like you guys need to potentially get a third party to come in there, because maybe she's not recognizing the significance of your needs. And that's something that we definitely take couples through all the time, in making sure that they understand your individual emotional needs. And maybe it just needs to be broken down to her in another way. But how long you stay, that's up to you. I mean, they're definitely, only you know your threshold. Only you know what you can handle and what you can't. You're reaching out to us because you're at a place where probably you're at a breaking point. And so you definitely, again, want to let her know that you are at that breaking point, and that this cannot continue. Something has to change. Either we're going to move forward and increasing that percentage of her time, or we're going to bring somebody else in who can assist us, or we're going to have to part ways. And that's just the reality. We never want you to part ways. So
nothing else to say. We got more questions. Thank you, Lakeisha. Here's another question. Forgiveness is necessary, but it can also mean that you will be violated again. It makes you seem tolerable of what happened. Well, let me just say that genuine forgiveness ensures or increases the probability that you won't be violated again, because genuine forgiveness, as we unpack it in the book, The Audacity of Marriage, 10 Principles to Lifelong Partnership. And if you don't have the book, please get it, because we walk you through this. There is a system of accountability that comes along with forgiveness. So it's not just you making a decision independent of your spouse to say, oh, I'll forgive you, let's move on. No. It's making a decision to do our marriage different. Now, remember, we talk about this all the time. Most of us come into marriage and we wind up doing marriage wrong. Okay. So if we acknowledge that the way we did things were wrong and now we're going to forgive, it means that we're now starting from scratch to create a new foundation, a new pathway, a new dynamic to do marriage right. And if we're doing it right, it's not going to increase the possibility of further betrayals because you're doing marriage right now. You have government, you have boundaries, you have parameters, you have culture, you have code. All these things are in place to get you to a better place. So I hope that answers the question. We have a couple more. I want to be respectful of your time, Lakeisha. I know that you may have to drop off. But I caught my husband texting another woman inappropriately. We've been in counseling for 5 months, but I still don't trust him. I can forgive, but I'm not sure I want to continue in the marriage. Sis, I hear you. And so, what we talk about oftentimes is the three prong approach to this. There is the marital recovery, there is the affair recovery, but there's also the individual recovery process. And we can talk about us in our sessions with a couples counselor, but I've got to talk about me and my healing path and how I deal, because forgiveness is one piece, trust is another. They're not the same. They require two different things. But every step that you take in this process should be a trust building step to get you to a place where you can begin to believe. And so I understand, guys, your faith is low, your motivation is low, you're probably not seeing change quick enough, and you're teetering on, do I stay, do I go? And what we typically say is when you're in that emotional state, the best decision you can make is to make no decision at all. Because if you make a decision in your frustration, in your anger, in your feelings, in your emotions, you may be making a decision that you will regret. That's why you want to allow somebody to take you through a complete process. See, the problem is many of you give up, cave in, and quit along the way, and you're missing key components that are necessary for your recovery process. So 2 weeks in, this is taking too long. 3 weeks in, I'm not seeing any changes. 5 weeks in, I'm just done with this process. This ain't working. Well, you haven't completed the process, period, point blank. And this is why we talk about intensives, because we're able to take you through a comprehensive process all at one time without stretching it out over several months, because people's staying power diminishes from week to week to week to week to week, because we're in 168 hours of a week together, but 1 hour talking about the pain that we've experienced over the other 167 hours. So it's a slower process. And this is why we encourage the intensive, because we're able to go deeper. We're able to get more transformation, more breakthrough to get you to a better place. So don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't call it quits. Maybe counseling is a good thing, but the way you approach it, because there are other approaches you can utilize to get you to a better place. Lakeisha?
Man, you said it all. I have nothing to add to that.
Okay, we got a couple more. Please, my marriage couples Academy with prayer will bless your life and lifestyle. They all been there, through it, and now smelling the roses. I appreciate that. We've been through it, yes. And we're now smelling the roses. And we are, that's the thing. Who do you listen to? You listen to people who have what you want and have been where you are. We've been where you are. We know what you're going through. So we're not reading something out of a textbook that sounds good that we never practiced or overcame ourselves. We are walking, talking, living, breathing manifestations of this message so that you can believe what we have to say because we've been there. All right, a couple more and we're done. How do you deal with the feeling of I'm betrayed myself if I stay in the marriage? Let me reread that. How do I deal with the feeling of I'm betraying? Oh, I get it.
Yep.
I'm betraying myself. I got you. If I stay in this marriage, I get that. I think that is an initial feeling that most people feel. So you betrayed me. And if I stay in this, I'm betraying myself because I made a decision before this relationship even started that if this ever happens, I will never stay. But now I find myself in this situation and I find myself staying and going against what I initially thought I would or wouldn't do. And I feel like I'm betraying myself. Now, Lakeisha, break that down.
Yeah. So again, this is so common. This is not the first time. We definitely have heard this. People definitely feel that way. They question whether or not they're crazy for forgiving and staying in a relationship, but you're not. It's a choice. Everything that we do is a choice. People are going to hurt you. They're going to offend you. They're going to upset you and disappoint you. And it's a choice. You have to choose every single one of those times if you're going to forgive them, if you're going to stay in that relationship and allow it to heal from that. So, are you betraying yourself? Well, you want to know how you deal with that feeling? You don't focus on that. You focus on the fact that your forgiveness and your healing is for you and it is not for that other person. And you're staying in the marriage because it's a choice, because that's what you chose to do. For me, it was God didn't tell me to go nowhere. So if that's your situation, then that's what you focus on. What was your why for staying? And you focus on that instead of you betraying yourself.
There it is. I don't understand the question, so I'm going to ask you to rewrite it if we have time to kind of unpack it. It's more of a statement with the. I'm just not sure. How do I help my wife, a retired war veteran wife, recently has grown in emotional mistrust, distance, silent, intimacy cut off, long-term affair partner, and gets angrier when I ask about it?
Yeah, they're saying that when they ask about it, the spouse gets upset, gets angry whenever they ask about the affair and about the distance.
Oh, okay. Okay. So how do you help her? Well, I guess my question is, and are you working with somebody? Is there somebody helping to facilitate these conversations? Some conversations are just too explosive for couples have on our own. It seems like every time we begin it, within 2-3 minutes, we're fighting. It's like we're battling with each other and we're getting no resolve. And this is why sometimes you have to bring a party to facilitate conversations, because that third party can dig into issues that you may not be. They may be resistant to you. They have a wall up when it comes to you, but they're willing to open up and begin to release some things with someone else that they may trust because of, past relational issues between two of you. There's just no trust. They don't feel safe. So you got to figure out other ways to do it. And so, even the Bible says some water, some plant, but God gives the increase. So don't rely on just yourself. You're not the cure all. You're not the end all to be all to get things resolved. Bring in backup, bring in resources that can assist you.
Yeah, there may
And
be some work she needs to do independently. I mean, and you said long-term affair partner. So that says to me that there's been some infidelity there. And there's definitely work that has to be done on her part. And some of that you cannot assist with.
mhm.
And when you say retired war veteran, that makes me think, what has she been through during that military life? So there may be some things
Mm.
that she needs to deal with that are completely independent of you and the marriage and everything else, because she does maybe have some trauma there.
Absolutely. Couple statements here. A sincere apology is great, but confessing the truth speaks more volume to me.
Mhm.
Absolutely powerful, powerful point. Then Holy Ghost power. You need to have some Holy Ghost power. Said sad that people, especially Christians, are so quick to divorce. God
Yes.
hates it, and so should we. Yes, yes,
Yes.
powerful point. God does hate divorce. Sorry about that. He does hate divorce, and he wants us to restore our relationships. That is his ideal, perfect will for us. And that's why we've partnered with God by committing to the mission of fighting against divorce and helping to restore relationships, because there's purpose in our partnerships, and it's to advance the kingdom of God. And in that process, we get to rule and reign in this in this earth as partners in this thing called marriage. And so that's what Couples Academy is committed to. Guys, we love you. We hope that you got
Hey,
something out of
Hasani,
today. Yes,
2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. I
hit it.
know, 2 seconds. Sir, no, you should not punch the guy your girlfriend cheated on you with. Yeah, it may sound like a good idea in the moment, but one moment can change the rest of your life. Call us, let us help you.
I unfortunately have had several men who have not just wanted to punch the affair partner, but have plotted to murder
Mm-hmm.
their affair partner.
Mm-hmm.
I know men who could not get access to the affair partner, but were boiling and enraged with anger and took out that aggression on their spouse. Or if they did not take it out on their spouse, they found other people to take it out on. So they redirected their anger and projected it on someone who did not deserve it. Sir, there is a level of pain that you are in. The root of all anger and rage is sadness and pain and despair. And your desire to want to hurt, harm, and seek vengeance on someone else speaks to a place in your life that you need personal healing. And we would love to be a part of that process. Though it may be an initial reaction, an idea, and thought when you first discover something like this, it will work against you, because to Lakeisha's point, all it takes is a moment. Don't you realize there's so many dudes in prison today that blacked out, that did not know how to properly manage their emotions, and their lives are ruined permanently or for several years.
And women too.
Women too.
Yep.
Women too.
Yep.
It's just not worth it. So guys, we love you. You know what? There's a topic we've been talking about, Lakeisha, that we have to come back next week and begin to break down. Hopefully I can get some time on your schedule for us to do it. But remember the question about, my husband cheated on me with another man.
Yeah.
And we said we were going to talk about that.
Yes.
It's coming.
I'm ready.
So stick around. It's going to get controversial. It's going to get real, but it's time. I'm sick of tiptoeing, tap dancing, and pussyfooting around relevant
my mom
things.
Used to say that. That was
trying to be politically correct and trying to appease people and make people feel good. No, we got to deal with truth, and we about to give it to you. Come next week. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Say goodbye, Lakeisha.
Bye.
No, say it like you mean it. Say bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.